Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Well, if you are planning a wedding, maybe you know somebody who is, and thinking about a destination, maybe doing something different, maybe something tropical, maybe a dream come true like Hawaii. I've got an expert back with us today that has a lot of insight on that. She's performed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and I really mean hundreds of weddings in paradise as our professional of the year. And today we're going to talk about some of the logistics when you have a simple Kona Beach wedding. Becky Ringler is back with us. How you doing today?
I am fantastic, Steve. Thank you. I think we had some fun. I think this logistical conversation is actually going to be really fun. A lot of my couples have this, you think about, oh my God, I want to get married in Hawaii, but then depending on where you live, it can feel a little daunting. For a lot of people, getting to Hawaii feels like something that may never happen or is harder than it seems. So I'd love to just discuss that a little bit today.
I would love to. And there's so many ways to look at it. Why don't we get there first?
Yeah.
What airport do we fly into?
Okay, first of all, you're going to fly. This is a really key thing. The airport you're going to fly into, the airport code is KOA, which is the Kailua Kona airport, or there is a long, but basically it's the Kona International Airport, and then there is a longer name for it as well. But that's what you're looking at. And there are actually nonstop flights from a lot of cities that you would not expect. So even if you were not in one of those cities, if you can fly to one of those cities, then you can get here directly without having to stop on any of the other islands. You can just come right to Kona, which is really nice. And by the way, we do have two airports on this island. The other one is Hilo. I do not recommend flying into Hilo. It's really much harder to get to Hilo, and driving over there from here just feels long. This is a big island. That's what's called the Big Island of Hawaii, where I'm located. So anyway, that being said, a lot of the West Coast cities, of course, San Francisco, San Diego, Los Angeles, Seattle, Sacramento, Portland, and usually Oakland, although I don't know, it seems to be a question mark now. All of those airports, you can fly nonstop from there and vice versa to Kona, which is nice. So those are all, that may seem kind of obvious, those West Coast airports, but we also have a lot of cool ones. They just added Denver recently, so there's nonstop from Denver, Las Vegas, Phoenix. So those are all airports that fly directly to Kona. And then we have some seasonal ones, Steve. During the winter months, most of them starting in December, some of them starting, I think only Salt Lake City starts in November, but you can fly nonstop from Chicago, Dallas, Anchorage, and Salt Lake City. And the other one, there's one seasonal summer airport that flies nonstop, which is San Jose, which is fascinating to me. I'm not really sure why it's in the summer, but hey. And a little tip for those of you flying from Chicago from December through April, I believe it is, it's Saturday flights only that they have the nonstop flight. So that is a little tip. I don't know about the other ones, but I fly in December. I fly back east to see my folks, and we always fly nonstop from Kona to Chicago, back to the East Coast. So it's one stop instead of two. So those are some little tips, because I feel like if you heard any of those airports, you're like, oh, I can get there, I can drive there, or gee, that's a nonstop flight from where I live to that airport. So it'd be only one stop instead of multiple. That's a little pro tip to get here.
So while we're talking about traveling, what about some of the other islands? Now, I've been to Hawaii a few times, and I've island hopped. I want to remember, I've been to Kauai, I've been to Maui, I've been to the Big Island, and I just bounce around a couple of days here, a couple of days there. Let's say I want to get married. I'm coming to you, want you to take care of everything. What would your suggestion be to somebody that says, yeah, I want to see some of the other islands, you can get a vibe for more. What would you suggest?
Actually, this reminds me of something very important. So a little side note on the flying here. If you cannot get to Kona, you can usually fly into Honolulu, most other places will fly into Honolulu, and that goes right into this discussion about what islands you might want to see. Like there's a direct from New York City to Honolulu, so there's a nonstop flight. So oftentimes you are going to be stopping in Honolulu. A lot of times you will be stopping in Honolulu, which is on the island of Oahu. That's our most populous island. That's where, like Hawaii 5 was and Magnum Pia. Oh no, Magnum was in Maui, never mind. But anyway, um, but regardless, um, oh, so sometimes we have couples, especially if they fly into Honolulu or say they're on a cruise ship or something, they stop and they spend a few days in Oahu first. I mean, if you're going to fly into Honolulu, some people choose to kind of get their bearings. They go see Pearl Harbor, maybe they go down to Waikiki, which is that famous uh, beach, this white sandy beach along it kind of makes me think of Miami or something. There's like a big city, but then there's this gorgeous beach, and it's very lively and it's a city, but it's also like on the ocean, and it's so very beautiful. Um, and then we have couples who choose to come right to Kona because they're getting married. And I usually recommend that you plan on getting married like 2 or 3 days max after, not the next day usually, but like one or two, like 2 to 3 days after you arrive. You have time to acclimate in case there is a plane mix up and you arrive late or something. You have a day to orientate yourself. You have a date to get your marriage license, all that kind of stuff. But the reason I usually recommend getting married early rather than later in your trip is so that my couples often report that they have been in this state of anticipation,
Uh,
like can't wait. And it's really hard to relax on vacation when you're anticipating a big event. So we
mm,
recommend, you have a little time to just arrive because it is, even if you're just flying from the West Coast, it's still 5.5 hours. It's still a time change of 2 to 3 hours, depending on the time of year. So just to give yourself room to arrive, then you have your wedding, and then you have the rest of your trip is your honeymoon. And it is, then you can relax. I have my couples report to me that they feel like now they can breathe. They're so excited. It was wonderful. And then they can just enjoy the rest of their trip. Um, and then after that, you can possibly go to other islands. There's a lot to do on this island, so it's not like you need to island hop. It depends on how much time you have. Um, and then I will say to that though, Steve, that I have had couples that do it like the night before they leave their wedding. And those couples though tend to be able to relax a little bit more. Like they are just the type of people like they use the trip to relax. So when they arrive at their wedding, they're like, hey, like really on island time, they really relaxed. And that is a personality preference. You know yourself, right? If you cannot be in this state of anticipation the whole time. And then I also will say, Steve, and then I will pause because I realize I've been talking a lot here. We have couples that do come with family members or friends, and they might have a vacation with them or a trip with them before. Then they have their wedding. Everyone else leaves, and then they go on to a honeymoon, either here or on Maui, Kauai, or on Oahu. So they have the first part of their essentially their vacation or their trip is here. Then they cap it off with the wedding, and that is the group trip. And then they have their own honeymoon, whether again it's here on another island, um, and they do that part alone. So
mm.
again, it depends on the amount of time you have allotted for your trip here. Um, Gosh, I've had couples, the last couple that we spoke to, Jennifer and Sasha from who came over here from Holland, they had a month, but they were coming from Europe and it's a long way. And of course they get a lot more vacation time than we do here in the States. So it kind of depends. But yeah, I'd love to hear any questions that might have come up from that that
Um,
discussion.
definitely. And thank you for explaining all of that. It's, it's everybody's different. Um, we try to put ourselves in those shoes. Like, what would you do? I think I might get it done first and then have relaxation time. But it all depends on logistics, family members, and everything. But then the other side of it is get married. Bye, everyone. And they
Yep.
leave, and then you do your thing. Um, we have a lot of geographic area to cover if you want to absorb the culture. What would you say based on, I know everybody's different. You could give me your suggestions, but your taste might be different than mine and somebody else's.
Right.
What would you say are the top five things that it seems that people tell you that they did or wanted to do and enjoyed them? And it could be on that island, it could be on other islands, but I
Yeah.
got time to do it. I can hit up a couple of islands, 2 days here, two there, two, get married. Five things, five attractions, five things to
Hmm.
see that you hear from others. It kind of sounds like the top five. What do you think?
Yeah. Um, well, definitely here. And by the way, I do talk with my couples. If they want to chat with me about this, I am happy to talk to them. And I usually ask them whether they like the water, like what's important to them. Are they ocean? Believe it or not, people do come here and they are not ocean people, which I always find interesting. But some people just like looking at the ocean, which is totally great. Um, but I would say on this island, especially, obviously it's the volcano, which has been going on and off for months and months now, which is very exciting. So going to see the volcano, you might hit an eruption, which is very exciting. So that is a huge thing, and everybody says it is spectacular. The other thing is on this island in particular, you can swim with the manta rays at night. Um, and I think we might have talked about this one time before, but there you can snorkel with them. You can, if you're a scuba diver, they have scuba diving things. And there's most of these things, though, you go on a boat of some sort. So if you don't want to get in the water, you don't have to. Um, but that is one of the most spectacular things. These mantas are like 10 to 12 feet wingspan. They have no teeth, right? They're just plankton eaters. And it is spectacular to be in the water with these amazing creatures at night. And I've done this myself a couple of times. And I can tell you, there's nothing in the water there other than like a few little fish and plankton. Like it's not, I've never heard of anything bad happening to anybody at nighttime where the
Oh
mantas are.
yeah, is it true? I've done it before, and they're all, the rays are basically the same. You could put your hand out, and even if you had a little bit of food that they like, they just come over, and then it's almost like the vacuum.
Well, they don't, they eat plankton, so you can't have anything on your hand. They're little fish that they eat. They're filter feeders. Um, but they will come right up to you. You're not supposed to touch them, but they will touch you.
Hmm.
So sometimes they come and they flip like right under you or like right around you. They will come right up towards you. So the manta rays are a little different maybe than we do have, of course, eagle rays and stingrays and other things, but the mantas are, you know, they don't have a stinger on their tail either,
You
which
know,
is really
I
cool.
we have an aquarium here, and I believe, and I've swam in the wild, and also have seen them in aquariums, and I recall getting some kind of something that you can feed them, where they would come over to you and, and like,
They won't let you do that here. I don't know that
yeah,
that you're not supposed to touch them or feed them, but they have everything they need to eat in the water.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I believe, but here they're very, I don't
Yeah,
know.
not to worry though. They're not gonna, they're
Yeah.
they're gonna hurt you.
Um,
Yeah.
the diving here is also spectacular, like the snorkeling and if you're a free diver, we have some of the best free diving in the world here. We have, because right off the coast, the Kona coast, it goes down hundreds, if not thousands of feet very quickly, unlike, say, the Caribbean, where it's shallow water a lot of the way. It's very deep. Um, and on the other islands, there's a lot of cool things to do too. Like um, in Kauai, they have some of the best helicopter rides. We have cool helicopter rides
Mm,
too. Definitely think on the Nepali coast, helicopter rides are really spectacular over there. The jaggedy coastline. It's where they filmed Jurassic Park. It's a really cool. It's just really
yeah.
beautiful over there. Um, and
Do
then of
they
course,
have? Can I ask you the waterfall?
yeah.
Because now you bring it. You're priming my memory, and now I'm going back when I was there in my mind, and the helicopter rides. Do they have them there where you fly right up to a waterfall and you pass by it? Things like that.
Yes, yes, they do. On this island, they do. They even have, there's a couple companies will stop at a waterfall. Um, on this island, I know that all of them, there's always waterfalls, coming over the side and they fly right past the waterfalls. A little note about waterfalls, never swim in a freshwater waterfall area. It is filled with bacteria. They have become very contaminated. You do not want to swim in them. It seems very exciting and like, oh, I'm in, in a movie and it seems really cool. You can get so sick. Do never swim in fresh water in the state of Hawaii, is what I will say. They very
Whoa,
contaminated.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, never knew that. Um,
Yeah.
can you wade in it or don't even go near it?
Probably. I just wouldn't put your face
Based
in
in.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Because I
Yeah.
see people
And
doing that, but now that I'm thinking back, anywhere, I don't recall anybody diving in and swimming
yeah,
around.
you can wade in it, I think. And
Yeah.
but it's not only animal waste, but there is a lot of human waste that comes down and it is stagnant water. Even though there's a waterfall, it is stagnant there. And it used to be a little, a lot more pristine, but now there's just a lot of, over the years, so many people. It is just, so
Hmm.
little pro tip, don't swim in any fresh water. So, but we
Got
have
it.
so much ocean, just swim in the ocean or a pool. Um, so, and then I would say definitely on Oahu is Pearl Harbor, of course.
Sure.
And you do have to make a reservation for that ahead of time for
Mm.
sure. We also have like there's Mauna Kea. You can take and I do recommend doing a tour. There's stargazing tours up there. The big observatory is up at the top of Mauna Kea. It's so clear, but all that's weather depending because you could have a
Mm.
trip and it could be cloudy. You know,
What
so
about the road to Hano? Which island? I can't remember.
that's on Maui. Um, okay, so there's a lot of mixed feelings. It is a very long, windy road. It is something you would endure. It is really beautiful, but it is not. A lot of people kind of tell me that okay, they did it, but they would never do it again, even though it is really cool, really spectacular. If you have anybody who gets car sick, you don't want to do it. And sometimes, especially during peak season, it's very, very crowded. And um, I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm also saying just understand it's going to be many hours
Yeah.
and it might be
Is it
stressful.
my thing is here as you're saying it, and I'm trying to think back. I don't believe I ever did it. I came close twice, and just for the reasons you said, it was a big investment in your time. And does that meet up with what you're going to experience? You got to get up early. You're driving around. It's like, all right, I'm at the top. Okay, turn around. Let's go back. I mean, if you have a month, okay. Just to
Right.
say you did it, I don't know.
And I don't believe there are many turnaround points. So once you're on the road, you are committed. So that is the other thing. So there's
Oof.
a lot of things to just, and again, I'm not saying don't do it. And everyone has their own things that they want to do, but it's just something to
Yeah,
keep in mind.
be advised,
Yes.
as you did. I have a question, and I believe this will address two types of couples. Now, we've seen different pictures. By the way, want to say your website looks fantastic. You have expanded gallery up there, easy way to
Yes, I have
see
a new
photos.
updated website. Yes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it really very intuitive, easy to navigate, and that's where I'm coming up with this question. You can go and get married in a Hawaiian shirt and something very simple. What if I want something a little more elegant feeling, but I'm still getting married on the beach or in Lava Rock? There's a couple little variables there, but I want it to be a little more elegant feeling. Can I
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah, of course. We have people that get married in three-piece suits, very formal attire.
Okay.
Um, And I usually ask what people are wearing. If I know people are being more formal, I try to wear something. I mean, my dresses are all appropriate, but I have things that are a little more formal than other things. Some are a little more relaxed. I have a lot of long dresses that go down to the ground, and they're all sort of Hawaiian style, but some are fancier than others. Um, and definitely, if I know that the couple is going really formal, I show them a couple of options that I have and ask them what they would what they think would be best with that. But yes, you can. The one thing you want to ask yourself uh, for women, I find that even if the guy is casual, the woman is usually it doesn't have to be. You don't have to wear a full wedding dress. Um, but a lot of my brides choose to do so. But usually the groom is a little less formal. But if you, as a groom, choose to be very formal with a three-piece suit, just make sure if you're a sweaty guy, you're going to be sweaty. So I just want to put that out there. If you're, I do have grooms that just don't get hot, right? They run cold, totally fine. It's not that hot here, but it is going to be in the mid 80s most likely.
Hmm.
So you have to, except in the winter where it might be like high 70s. So I want you to gauge that.
Yep.
Yes, but you
Thank you for
absolutely
that.
will.
Everybody's
Mhm.
different. I don't I don't sweat. I really don't. It takes a lot to get me going there, either at a gym, and that's a lot of activity. But I've got friends, they could stand outside in a 60-degree day for, I don't know, 30 minutes, and I look at their forehead, and you start to see
My
some beads
husband,
of sweat.
my husband is a sweaty guy, so
Yeah.
he gets hot easily. So I always think about that. So I always ask that question, do you get hot easily? And if the answer is yes, then a better choice is a formal Hawaiian shirt, which might be a white silk shirt or a white shirt that also looks like if you get sweaty, it doesn't show, right? That kind of thing. Like you choose the appropriate. There are a lot of breathable fabrics that look really sharp. Um, and then maybe like linen pants. You can wear, I do have grooms that do wear shorts, but linen pants are a great option if you want to be a little more formal. My husband, for instance, wore a white silk Hawaiian shirt and khaki linen pants, and I wore a very formal dress, and it looked great. So I have
Mm.
a lot of that combo, but absolutely you may wear a suit, and it looks great on the beach. It looks really sharp. Again, if that, and a lot of times some guys don't wear a tie, like that's how they make it a little less formal. They're getting on the beach, there's no tie, but you can have a pocket square, you can have all the trimmings,
Mm.
for sure.
And I'm going to say for men, linen is in right now. Just
Yeah.
ask. So, plays well if you're going to do a wedding in Hawaii. I also want to say before we close out today that you've got lots of awards. We never talk about those, but Wedding Wire, the Knot, Couples Choice Awards, consistently year after year after year, you win them. You've got hundreds of amazing 5-star reviews, and not just Google reviews. I mean, these, even Wedding Wire reviews.
Yeah. I have
Um,
more on Wedding Wire in the Knot than I do on Google because I started Google late. I was not that savvy when I first started. Oh, I need Google reviews. So I have very few, but I have hundreds on Wedding Wire in the Knot, which is where I started collecting reviews long ago. So I have hundreds of them.
hmm.
So yeah.
And you're also a Better Business Bureau accredited A+ business. Just saying. I mean, this is not just somebody who popped up performing weddings on a beach. You're vetted out. And again, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of couples. What's your new and improved website?
Well, the website is still the same URL. It's just simple Kona Beach Weddings.com. And yeah, I'm really proud of how it's come. Also, all the podcasts we've done, Steve, are living on a podcast page. Unfortunately, in case you're looking at the time of this airing on mobile and on the tablet versions, for some reason the podcast page crashes, but you can easily view them on a laptop or a desktop. We're getting that fixed.
Mhm.
That should be fixed soon, but if that happens, and you can't for some reason navigate back, just retype in the website, you'll get there. Yeah, but
Yep.
really happy about it.
And with
So,
podcasts, there's a lot of insight, like we're talking today, even interviews with couples. You can actually see them too. I mean, and the journey and all of it. Thank you for today. And just, we've never done this, like the logistics of getting it done. Like, it's so funny. Like, I realized, like, what airport? Like, it's the most important thing. What
yeah,
airport? Yeah.
yeah.
I appreciate it. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Okay, great. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.